نبرات شعري سطرت لمداد حبري والقلم، نبرات شعري سطرت لمداد حبري والقلم، نبرات شعري سطرت لمداد حبري والقلم. هيا قصائد سائلي قلب النوى ليس الشبم، هيا قصائد سائلي قلب النوى ليس الشبم.
Yeah, hello. Hello, 1 2 3 4 1 2 3 4. Hello, 1 2 3 4 1 2 3 4. Okay. Okay, I think it's going out now. I think I'm going out. Yes, so I'll start again. Okay, now it's okay. Alhamdulillah. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. And Bismillah, alhamdulillah, salatu wassalamu ala Rasulullah. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. And welcome to People of the Book. I've been muttering and going on without even coming out. Alhamdulillah, brother Asad for informing me. Otherwise, I'll be going out and I'd be talking and not going out. Yes, so I'd like to welcome you all. And it's a new book that I'm starting. Like I'll have to show it again and show you here. It's a new book from monogamy to polygyny. Yeah, and the term is polygyny, not polygamy. We'll find out afterwards why. It's more polygyny than polygamy. Before we go anywhere, I'd like to point out that as you can see down there is a banner that is showing, and that banner on there, I'm requesting for brothers and sisters who can share that the link. I need help to do my surgery. You can see my gums are swollen and everything, and obviously the dawah needs to be done. So I have to be here. But there, there are a few other complications that I have, but they cannot be attended to until my my gums have been sorted. So please, if you can donate, if you can pass the link on, and you'll get big rewards for it. And the other thing is that I wanted to say was that I mentioned it, but there was no sound. Yeah, what we will do, whoever, how many people who, if you want to ask questions, if you want to make any comments or whatever, I would advise you. I don't have super chat. I don't usually use super chat, but if anybody can, make a donation, and then you can ask a question, or you can even come online and say what you want to say. So anyway, today we're going to start this subject, which is a very, very important subject. One thing we have to bear in mind is that in the world, the way it is going at the moment, the situation of women in the West and everything, Muslim women, Muslim sisters in the West, there's a crisis going on at the moment where there are people who are not married, sisters who are not married, and some sisters have reached to the point where they they don't want to get married, or not interested, man or this, man or that, man or this, man or that, So Islam actually put a structure together. Islam came and put a structure together in marriage. Marriage is actually a concept where the husband and the wife both have rights. Okay, when you get married, you both have rights, and the man, his rights and obligations when he takes this. Before we go into polygyny, let's go into the marriage part of it to understand that and understand it in the polygynous concept as well. So the man, when he marries a woman, he's taking a woman out from her parents' house. Now he has responsibilities on her. He has responsibilities in first of all, looking after her, feeding her, clothing her, and being nice to her. Being good to her, yeah, and also he becomes like a father to her, because now he's taken her out of her house. He becomes like a father to her. So what actually happens in this case now is that he has to protect her and provide for her, just like she was getting with in her father's in her father's house. So what happens now is that she's under his responsibility. Now, if this man now, he cannot fulfill his responsibilities as a man, then he shouldn't be getting married in the first place. Yes. So this is going to tie up to the polygyny in a minute. He shouldn't be getting married in the first place. Yeah. If a man is not in the situation to get married, or he's got some issues or whatever, then he's not in the situation of getting married. Yeah. And the woman on the other side now, the sister now, she's been cared for. She's been looked after. She's been, she's the woman in the house. Her responsibility now, is to look after her husband, to be loyal to him. Okay, and to support him, in any circumstances. A man is a decision maker in his household. So what happens now is that, we each have our own roles and responsibilities in the house. What is happening nowadays is that there seems to be a breakdown of that, and women are wanting to take the role of the men, and the men have become very, very weak today. Men who have been demonized and weakened. Okay, brother Asad. Yes, let me just bring that up because it seems to be a very important thing that he's talking about. Okay, my wife is from Sri Lanka, brother, and I can't stand the Muslim women in the West. Wallahi, these sisters need their heads checked. True, crazy ladies, and because of that, because of all these ideologies, exactly, brother. So because of all these ideologies that are going around now, when Islam came, Islam brought a solution. Islam brought a solution to all this. A lot of people, a lot of our sisters even don't want to wear hijab, don't want to practice Islam, but yet they want the solution that suits them. They want the solution that suits them, but they don't want to follow what Islam has given. So the solution, every solution, whether it's for marriage, whether it's for anything, comes from Islam. Yeah, the solution comes from Islam. Now, wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, bird's nest rat fest. I hope you're okay. You haven't missed much because I spent about 10 minutes rabbiting on without even with no sound. And alhamdulillah, brother Asad informed me that I was talking with no sound, but alhamdulillah. So you haven't missed much. We've gone through what marriage is in Islam, how strong of an institution marriage is, how solid marriage is, And now this will obviously link to the issue of polygyny because, what do you call it? You have to be married first. You have to be married first before you can take on a second marriage. So you have to be married to one. You have to be married to one, then you can take on another. Now, the book starts off by explaining this, right? Throughout the Muslim world, misunderstandings in conception and denial of the reign supreme in polygyny in Islam. Now, remember, according to our teachings, according to what we know, according to the way we've been raised, according to the Quran and Hadith, man has a notch of superiority over a woman, because we know, as I explained earlier on, he's the protector, he's he's the protector, he's the provider, and the woman has a degree less. Today, what they're trying to do now is kind of like change this. Yeah, they're trying to change this. They're trying to make the woman more superior and the men inferior. Trying to get women trying to empower women. There is nothing wrong with a woman working. There's nothing wrong with our sisters working. We need them teachers to teach our children. We need them nurses. We need doctors to look after our wives, our sisters, and everything. But there are points where, there is a limit to it. Okay. Now the book mentions about this thing clearly throughout the Muslim world. This is talking of the Muslim world now. We're not just talking about the West, about Westerners, non-Muslims, or whatever, because there's a lot of misunderstanding. A lot of people have approached me and said, "Oh, I want to come to Islam, but you Muslims are allowed to." No, you Muslims not allowed. You Muslims take more than one or 4 wives or whatever. So that's a misconception. It is a permission that Allah has given. A permission. We'll go through the verse in a minute. We'll go through the verses. The other book that I did concerning the same issue was actually I'd spoken about it, and yeah. So yeah, the sisters are more masculine than feminine. True, and obviously, all this now kind of breaks down the society because we're supposed to be having a feminine women looking after the house and everything, and a lot of women today say, I don't want to get married, or I'd rather stay single. So this is where the solution comes in. Okay, and it says here, men and women have latched onto the kuffar standard of marriage and turn away from the practice of polygyny, making it distasteful. A lot of sisters don't want to hear the word. It is a taboo. It is a taboo in the Muslim community now. So somebody says, "Oh, he says he wants to take a second wife or whatever." It has become a taboo. Yeah, it's become so distasteful. To help in the justification of this subtle and sometimes blatant rejection, stipulations have been appended to the Quran and Sunnah, which have no real value. Today we say, oh, a man can only get married again if, for example, his wife is not well, or there is some issues or whatever concerning whatever the makeup issues or whatever that he cannot actually it's not as if it is Quranic or sorry, I'm just shifting the page so I can see the comments as well. Yeah, so it's like for them, it's like it's nothing to do with the Quran or Sunnah. It's just like that. It's just that I lost my train of thought there when I changed the page. Yeah, so they make up justifications for it. Now, there is no justification. We will read the verse and we will understand it. I will use the tafsir of Ibn Kathir and tafsir of Sheikh Sadi. Now, for the sisters who are listening, I'm not taking one side. I'm not here to slap you and let the guys get away with it. No way at all. Because there's no way, if you really practice the way Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has sent our deen to us, then you will see that, like, there's a lot of things that are going on that are that shouldn't be. In the beginning, now I'll do only the first part of the book, for this session, and as we go along, we will go more deeply into it, because there are other subjects that we need to look at, which are not in the book, which I will be sharing with you. I'm not an alim. I'm a student of knowledge. I've sat at the feet of scholars for 6 years, and whatever. So whatever I have learned, I will share it with my brothers and sisters. Again, I'd like to remind you that, the link that is showing at the bottom, if you can help, if you can share the link with the brothers and sisters, if you can donate, then at least it will be helpful for me, for my guns and everything. Anyway, so we go. Justification, excuses are made. And one thing as well is that a lot of sisters, before they get married to a man, they want to put in the contract. They want to put in the contract that that the man is not allowed to marry another woman. Now, if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given permission, we will see the verse in a minute, permission is coming from Allah. Does the permission of a woman override that of Allah and His Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam? We'll read the verses and everything in a minute. So a lot of men fall into that trap of actually adding it in the marriage contract, where the scholars have said it has no place in the marriage contract, because you're signing something now. What happens along the years? As the years go by and something happens and you're in an obligation, something happens and, to your wife or to yourself, and you're in an obligation. What do? You're breaking your marriage vows here. Yeah. So that doesn't fit in the marriage contract, because it's not, Allah has already given the permission. So excuses are being made, which are not in the Quran and Sunnah, which have no real value. So the question becomes, what is the correct position on polygyny? Now we'll go to the difference between polygyny and polygamy. Polygamy, it says polygamy to begin with the word polygamy is often used to refer to the practice of men having more than one wife. Polygamy can be used to describe this practice, but polygamy also includes the action of women taking more than one husband. Now we'll talk about that in a while now, why this is not appropriate. Yeah. So the proper word to use is polygyny. Okay, it is a means of more. It means to take more than one wife. The permissibility of it. Now, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has allowed it. Yeah, we know that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has allowed it. And from the ayat of Quran, which is Surah An-Nisa, verse 3, if you fear that you will not be able to deal fairly with orphans. Now, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is talking about orphans here, right? The chapter starts off with dealing with orphans and everything. You may marry other women who seem good to you. Now, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells us from the beginning. This is my understanding of it, what I've understood when I studied and everything. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given us, has started the verse not with one. If one was the norm, okay, it would have started with what's her name? It would have started with marry women of your choice, 1, 2, 3, and whatever. Okay, but no, Islam came to regulate polygamy. Polygamy was not something that was invented by Islam. You see, a lot of non-Muslims have this mindset. As soon as you talk of Islam, they talk of polygamy. What about King David? Yeah. What about Sulaiman alayhi salam? What about Ibrahim alayhi salam? What about all the other prophets before them? Musa alayhi salam had more than one wife. So you forget all the others, and you think of Islam only, that it came from Islam. No, it didn't get invented by Islam. It was actually regulated. That like in the beginning, I mentioned about marriage, how marriage is structured in Islam, what we're allowed to do, what we're not allowed to do, what we're supposed to do, and we have rights and responsibilities. Islam came to regulate it because before Islam had been from the time of Adam alayhi salam, but the Islam that was brought down by the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, before that was brought to us, men were marrying women left, right, and center for no reason whatsoever. They will marry them, mistreat them. There was no proper law. Now, for women to turn around and say that polygamy is an oppression to women, well, think about that. It was the other laws that were oppressing women, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sent this verse down to regulate. Yeah. You can't take a woman just like I read a book recently. I can't remember what book it was, where it mentions that in Judaism they were allowed to have a wife just to give them babies. Yeah, she was like a conveyor belt, just to give them babies. Yeah, and yeah, so we'll get to that afterwards. Yeah, we'll get to Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam having more than one wife. But anyway, yeah. So the thing is that they were allowed. They had as many wives as they wanted. Yeah, there was no regulation, and there was no specific treatment for them. Yeah, they didn't have inheritance. They were not considered because if you read the Bible, in the Bible it says if a man has a wife that he likes, right? A man, a wife that he likes, and a wife that he dislikes. So you were allowed to dislike a wife that you married to. Yeah, Islam came and then says no. You have to be fair with them. You have to be equal with them. You have to treat them with fairness. So polygyny now came for those who don't like it, for those who will make it as a taboo. Is actually not oppressing the women because it came because of the women. It came to protect them. It came to actually put things in their right place, to stop men from taking women left, right, and center. Because I will go into this afterwards as well, where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the one who created men. He knows how men are. Yeah, he knows what are their desires. He knows what they need and what they want. So obviously that this is why the wisdom of Allah now, from His wisdom, He revealed this verse. Now let's carry on reading this verse. Now, if you fear that you will not be able to deal fairly with orphan girls, you may marry other women who seem good to you, 2, 3, or 4. Okay, not 1, 2, and 3. But if you fear that will not be equitable, see. So again, now the verse was revealed because there was such a craziness at the time pre Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. There was a craziness about how women were treated. Women were even girls were even buried alive. There was no specific laws or whatever. Women were treated very, very badly. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala came and put the dots on the I's now. Clear. You have to be equal with them. Where the Bible is telling you you're allowed to have a wife that you can love, and you're allowed to have a wife that you don't love. The Quran is saying no. You have to be equitable with them. Then, if you cannot be, then marry only one. So the one starts only. There's no other excuses here. There's no if the wife is ill or cannot give children or whatever, then no. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says if you cannot be equitable, that's the condition. Yeah, we mustn't invent conditions and everything and make as if it's a taboo. You're not allowed to take another wife or whatever. Allah makes it clear. Then marry only one. He didn't start with one. Or any slave girls you may own. Okay, so you're allowed to marry the slave girl. Okay, that is more likely to keep you from committing injustice. Okay, committing injustice and committing zina as well. Because what happens today, we find that in the Western communities, you have one wife, but you can have a lot of side chicks. A lot of women around you or whatever, and They have no rights. They have no inheritance when you die, and they're not part of the family. They have no dignity. So Islam came to appraise, Yeah. Wait, aren't the slave girls concubines? Yes, they concubines. You can marry them as well. You're allowed to marry your slave girls, free them and marry them. Yeah. So anyway, so as I was saying that, I lost my train of thought now. Anyway, so yeah, so yeah, in the West now, they would discourage polygyny. They will make it a taboo, but no problem. You can have a good girlfriend here, you can have a good girlfriend there, you can have a mistress in the office. That's not a problem. It's perfectly legal. But when you talk of actually giving women their rights, where Islam is giving them their rights, no, not happy with that. Yeah, they will have a girlfriend with her today, not with her after 2 years, 3 years. She doesn't inherit from you. She's not even a lot of these men out there, their wives don't even know that they have a girlfriend or whatever, and it's not something that is in the open. So the woman is mistreated. So for the sisters now who are turning against polygamy, who are making excuses and disgracefully, this came to protect women. The verse came to protect women. It is clear. Not for the man. You will see in a minute. I'll explain a few things as well. A man actually has more sacrifices when he enters into polygyny. Now, for the sisters, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has asked the sisters to make patience, to accept it with patience, and don't use emotions, don't make a problem. The man who actually does injustice, if he fears his Lord and he does injustice, he will have to stand in front of Allah on the day of Yawm al-Qiyamah. See that difference now, yeah? The sisters ask, be patient, and you will get them rewards in Jannah. That man now who actually is doing injustice to her, he's going to end up standing in front of Allah and answering. And there's a hadith that mentioned from the Prophet ﷺ that the men who are unjust with one wife, two wives, three wives, or whatever, they will be leaning to one side. They will be leaning to one side. This would be the sign. That they were people who are unjust to their wives. So it's not at all an oppression to women. Yeah, one. Secondly, the way the world is going at the moment, so the state that the world is going at the moment, there are sisters who are not married, who have reached 30, 35, 40, not married. And some sisters have even come to the point where they say, I'd rather die than share a man. See, they're taking something that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has made them legal, and they would rather die. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala reveals another verse, which is Surah Al-Ahzab, verse 36. Chapter 36, verse 33 and 36, where it says, if it is not for a believer, man or woman, when Allah and His Messenger have decreed a matter, that you should have an opinion in their decision. Decision is already made. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has already given that permission. Yeah, like I mentioned earlier on, Allah has given that permission. Now the woman is saying, if you want to marry me, you put in the contract that you're not going to take another wife. So your decision, according to you, overrides Allah's permission. Okay. Now, don't get me wrong. A woman has the right to refuse that. A woman has the right to say, "Okay, I don't agree. Divorce me or whatever." But then you are breaking up that family, because the man is not doing something that is against the law here. I mean, he's not doing something against Islam. If he was gambling, if he was coming home drunk, if he was beating you, these are excuses. These are excuses that you say, "Okay, you ask for a divorce." At the time of the Sahaba, the Prophet ﷺ, like Brother Asad mentioned earlier on, the Prophet ﷺ was married to Khadija radiallahu anha. This is an excuse that many sisters use. Oh, why was the Prophet married to Khadija radiallahu anha for so many years, and he didn't take another wife? Okay, one. If you listen to the Sirah that I am my series, I done quite intensive part on Khadija radiallahu anha. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala had prepared her in order that she can marry the greatest man that walked this earth. Okay, she was trained in a way to be that ideal wife, to be the wife of the of the Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. She gave her fortune to him to spread for the dawah. Yeah? At that time, when she was with him in Mecca, Islam was still growing. Yeah, there was no laws, no whatever, like, they were still practicing some of the old laws that was there. This is a Medinan verse that came in Medina. Permission was given in Medina that you can now, like, don't treat women they are. Now you can marry a limit of 4. At the time when the Prophet was with Khadija, Islam didn't have this control. So the Prophet stuck to Aisha, to Khadija radiallahu anha, one, because of her character, and two, because he was not decreed by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to take action about this. There were so many men who were still married for more than one wife. I have a lot of non-Muslims who approached me and said, like, oh, your Prophet is unfair. He had more than 4 wives, but he restricted his companions from having. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the one that revealed the verse, not the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. When the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, when people came into Islam, they'd already had 5, 6, 7, 8, 10, 11, 12 wives already, They'd already had this amount of women. Then the verse comes down. When the verse comes down now, these people were asked, if you have more than 4, get rid of the rest of them and stick with 4 only. If you can stick with 3, 2, 1, whatever. Yeah. It didn't mean that there was any injustice on the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam's side, that he had more than the Sahaba and whatever. The Prophet ﷺ came on a mission. Yeah, he married women because there were necessities, building bridges, communities, and everything. Marrying daughters of well-known people of the elite and everything. So it was an obligation for him. He had to do it that way. Okay, so it's not that the Prophet ﷺ done any injustice or to the Sahaba, that they were allowed to have only 4. The 4 came, at the time of the Prophet ﷺ was in Mecca. Wasn't alcohol allowed? It was only when yes, exactly, because the laws did not come in. You cannot bring a law when you don't have a state. Yeah, they didn't have an Islamic state. They were still now the dawah was going on. People were coming into Islam. People were becoming stronger and stronger and stronger. When they came to Medina, now you have your state. Now Allah is going to send laws on you because you are ruling. The Prophet ﷺ was ruling now. Now these laws come down to him. And like Brother Asad mentioned here now, that the laws of the laws of alcohol, they were still drinking. People were still drinking. There was Sahaba who were sakran. Many Sahaba who were actually sakran. So they've been drinking. That was permissible. Then the verses came little by little in Medina to tell them, now, khalas, stop. You're not allowed to drink anymore. Yeah. So the same thing now with polygyny. Yeah, it was a craziness that if you read about it, if you read about polygyny in different religions, you will see that the non-Muslims, even today, if you go to India, you will see they practice it more than Muslims. A lot of non-Muslims have a misconception that all Muslims have 4 wives. Man, I live in the Gulf. Where not every Arab has 4 wives. We will go into that in a minute, because we'll talk about the ins and outs of it anyway. So yeah, so the verse now is addressing the man, not the woman. I don't know why the women have a problem with it, with the verse. The verse is addressing the man, how he should act to the women, how he should be. If you cannot do it, then take only one. Allah's talking to the man now, because like I said earlier on, a woman in Islam is not allowed to have more than one husband. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created us different. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala made us different. The man, although we are equal in terms of the way Allah created us, in terms of standing in front of Allah, in terms of doing our Islamic acts, in terms of the rewards that we get from Allah, we are equal. Yeah, we are equal in that sense. Yeah, but we are not equal in the way Allah created us. Allah created a woman differently and created a man differently. So a woman now cannot take that excuse and pin it on the man and say like, she what the man is doing is wrong, and like, because you don't think the way the man thinks. You see, we think differently. Here's one thing that I keep mentioning to a lot of people, especially with this new alphabet community that has started very, very some time back, the alphabet community. A man is a man. The way he was created is a man. His mindset is the mindset of a man as well. Yeah, he can look like a woman, he can dress like a woman, he can act like a woman, but he doesn't wake up at the end of the month and think, oh, I'm going to have my period, I'm going to have, no, a woman does. A woman feels it when she's going to have a period. That is something that is woman-like, not man-like. So this is the same thing. Allah SWT has created man, and Allah has made these differences between us. And we need to be able to kind of like, get that into our minds, basically, that let me see what the brother's saying. I have to go to Jummah. Okay, inshallah, brother. Jazakallah khairan. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. And maybe you can watch it when you come back. And please tell others as well and pass it on, because this is going to be a series. Yes, this is the first program, and then we're going to go through the book and everything. Some of the stuff that I'm talking now is from me, what I know, my knowledge and everything I'm sharing, plus some of the stuff from the book. Yeah. So the thing is, like I said, yeah, this verse is targeted to the man. Yeah, if you can't, Allah is telling the man, if you can't marry more than one, then stick to one. He's referring to the man here, not to the woman. The woman doesn't have anything to do with this verse. Okay, so, and like I said, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala starts it off with 2, 3, or 4. If the norm was 1, Allah would have said, marry the woman of your choice, 1. Okay, now let's just go through the tafsir of Sheikh Sadi, okay, and we see what Sheikh Sadi says about this verse. Okay, so we've been through the translation. Okay, so Sheikh Sadi says, that is, if you fear that you will not be fair or just to female orphans who are under your guardianship, and you fear that you will not fulfill their rights. Remember, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, when he sent the Quran to the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, all the rights were taught to the Prophet. Even at a point where the Prophet ﷺ was worried about the neighbor's rights, the rights that the neighbor has, in case the neighbor's rights were, they were more than what the Muslims' rights were. Yeah, Prophet ﷺ got worried because, your neighbor, he will inherit from you and everything. So the fact that, rights is something very, very important here. And Sheikh Sadi mentions that even the orphans, they have their rights, and their rights had to be fulfilled. Okay, you fear that you will not fulfill their rights because you don't feel attracted to them. Then choose from other women. Choose from other women. Now, already the practice was going on. Like I said, it's not something that was invented by Islam. Prophet ﷺ didn't just land them from somewhere and say, hey guys, you can take 4 wives or whatever. No. That was something that was going on. There was a lot of injustice being done to women. So the tafsir now is mentioning, then choose from among other women and marry other women who seem good to you. Now, there was a criteria that the Prophet ﷺ gave us for marrying women. Yeah, you choose women who are religiously committed, wealthy, beautiful, good lineage, and social status. In the Quran, it makes it clear. The Prophet ﷺ went a step further and said, but the best choice is the woman who's religious, and we know that. Okay, so that criteria has already been given here. Of all these qualities, as I mentioned, the Prophet ﷺ said that to take the woman's religious commitment, and he mentions the hadith here. This verse indicates that the man should find out about the woman he wants to marry. Indeed, it is permissible for him to look at to look at one, he wants to marry. Now that's another thing as well. When a man who's got the permission from Allah to marry, and he's looking at the man, his wife turns around now and say, he's doing khain. This guy's a khain. He's betraying me. He's doing things behind my back or whatever. No, he has the right. He has the right to actually get in contact, as long as he do it Islamically, properly. Go through her wakil and whatever, and not like, meet her in a cafe somewhere and have coffee. No, that's not what it means. But he has the right to see her. He's not doing khain. He's not betraying the wife behind her back. Because the women have lived in that taboo, how can I put it? The polygyny has been made taboo for them. So whatever happens from the man's side now, not permissible. I will not accept it. Okay. So indeed, it is permissible for him to look at the one he wants to marry. So he will choose one he thinks is suitable for him. How would he know if the sister is practicing or not? How would he know if the sister is beautiful or not? How would he know the sister's lineage or not if he doesn't have some sort of contact that is actually, according to Islam, Islamically. So, how would he know that? Yeah. So he's not doing khain. He's not going behind your back and negotiating or whatever. And it is the right that Allah has given him. Okay, so we're reading about this now. Allah then states the number of women who is permissible. Marry 2, 3, or 4. That is, whoever wants to take 2 wives may do so. Okay, it is permission that is given you. Okay, who wants to do, he may do so. Whoever wants to take 3, and he may do so. Whoever wants to take 4, but not more than that. It's been restricted. That's where the restriction came into Islam. It's been restricted to 4 because prior to that there was no control. Yeah, like I said, in Judaism, women were used as conveyor belts to make children. You can marry a woman who's beautiful. You can marry an ugly woman and to do the chores at the house for you or whatever. And there was a woman in the Bible, the woman that you like and the woman that you don't like. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying now, you take 2, 3, or 4, yeah, but no more than that. Okay, and that was the consensus of the ulama as well. That is because man's desire may not be satisfied with just one. Now we'll just stop the what's the name for a minute. The we'll just stop the tafsir for a minute, and we'll talk about something very important. Desire. There is a question that is always asked to man. Why do you want to take another wife? So what's the man going to tell you? Oh, I've got so much money. I've got big houses or whatever. I want to, marry other women. No. It is a desire that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has put into the man and not into the woman. And the man desires to take other women. So sisters need to stop asking that question. Why? Why do you want to take another? Does there have to be a reason? Did the wives of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, did they ask him, why do you want to take another wife? Okay, at the time of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, there was battles. Husbands were being killed. Today, the same thing is happening as well. It's not just at that time. Same thing is happening. When the man now who was given that permission to take that wife, did the wives of the Sahaba ask him, why do you want to take another wife for? Was that question asked? Why do you want to take her? And the sister as well, the one who was going to get married to. That is a question that is usually asked from the second wife or the third wife. Why do you want? Did that lady ask him? Because she knows the situation. She knows that this is to protect her, for her well-being. For her well-being. And today as well, you have a lot of sisters who don't work, who've got no father, who've got no brother, who've got they need someone, they need a man. Take that out of your mind, that what the feminist movement has put in your mind, that you don't need a man. You need a man around you. A woman needs a man around her, halal man around her. Anything goes wrong in her house, it's a halal man who will do it. Anything that another man needs to come to the house to do a repair or whatever, are you going to be alone? Even though you're in hijab, are you going to be alone? No. If your husband is here, then let him take care of it. So to say that, like, I'm not going to share another man, I would prefer die. What's the name? I would prefer to die lonely. That's that's totally ludicrous, because, like, Allah created the women differently. Yeah, the mindset is different. Allah created women to be mothers, to raise children. Yeah, Allah created the man to be the protector, the provider. Two different mindsets here. A man wakes up in the morning at 4 o'clock in the morning. Who mentioned that the other day? There's a shout out to brother Mahdi Tijani. I forgot to mention that in the beginning. Who's got some very good. If you can go and listen to some of his stuff as well. He's got some very good stuff. He speaks out to brothers and sisters concerning marriage, concerning polygamy as well. Brother Mahdi Tijani, you'll find him on YouTube. Now, there was something that was mentioned. I forgot now. It went past me. A man, when he wakes up in the morning, he doesn't think, I think this is Brother Andrew Tate that mentions that, but with the foul language and everything. He doesn't think in his mind, how am I going to get up and go and oppress that woman? No. He doesn't think of oppressing women. He thinks, how am I going to get up at 4 o'clock in the morning and get to work? Get to work so that I can bring food and put on the table. That is his mindset. The lady's mindset, who doesn't work, lady who's at home, she's going to wake up, clean her house, and whatever she's going to do. But that man, in his mind, he's a protector. Somebody breaks down his door and tries to attack his family. That is his responsibility to look after his family. And he's the provider. So Allah has made this desire in him. Another thing I will talk about in a while as well. Is it for every man? Is polygyny for every man? I will tell you no. Clear cut, no. It's not for every man. We will see why it's not for every man. It's not an open license that Allah has given every single man who doesn't work, man who's got no character, man who's got no integrity, that's not for him. Yeah, it's not for him. It's for a man that we call a high value man. And the high value man is the man who works. He can look after one family. He can provide for them. He can protect them. He's got the integrity. He's got the haya. He's got this type of thing. So this is the type of man that can actually say, okay, I've got one wife. I've got my kids. I can raise children. I've got experience in raising children. There's another sister. I'm happy with her. She's a nice lady. I want to take her as my wife. Fine. So that is the desire. That is because a man's desire may not be satisfied with just one wife. The ulama are telling the woman that. So don't ask the man why you want to get another wife for. That is already explained. The desire is there. So it is permitted to take one after another until he reaches 4, because 4 is enough for anyone except in rare cases. However, this is only permitted on condition that he's certain that he's going to be able to avoid injustice. Not about the woman not be able to give birth, not about other excuses. I've forgotten what the other excuses were, or whatever, and whatever excuses that they make. These are not the condition. The condition is that he has to. It is permitted on condition, as the verse says, that he's certain that he will be able to make justice. So if he's a man who's straight, a man who's never done injustice to his children. I used to fight with my children over one thing. Sometimes I refuse something to one child. Okay, I refuse one thing to one child, not because I don't like that child, but I don't want to give that child and then not be able to give the other. I have 66 children now, mashallah, they're all grown up and whatever. But when they were smaller, I tried to restrict them on that way, because if I give you now, you will go and show all your brothers and sisters, oh, I got an iPhone from daddy. And then what happens? Next month when the other one comes up, I cannot afford to give him that. Yeah. So I had preferred to be just to my children and say, look, I'm very sorry, cannot give you that, because I'm going to be making injustice to my children. A father doesn't show his love anyway, he shouldn't do anyway for his children. Show another child that, look, daddy loves her more than me. Daddy loves him more than me. No, you're not allowed to do that in Islam. So a man who can do that, a man who has that integrity in him, that he can do it, like, he can make justice with his family. Why is there a problem that he does it for another woman? Why is it a problem that now he'd take on another woman and give the same justice to her? And this is what this verse is talking now. However, it's only permitted on condition that he's certain that he will be able to avoid injustice and mistreatment, and he is confident that he will be able to give them their rights. In the beginning, I mentioned about Islam and the rights, marriage in Islam and the rights and everything. He has to be able to give her their rights. If he can do that, then fine. Yeah. If the man is there, is a man of integrity, he's got a good job, maybe he does 2 jobs, like, he's got a business on the side or whatever, and he's always been straight, he practices his deen, and he's always straight with his family, no minna, whatever, then why? Why do we have to make excuses now to stop him from doing something that Allah has permitted him? Then Sheikh Sadi carries on and says, but if he fears that he will not be able to be fair. So if a man now has not been fair with his family, he knows that so he's got some issues, he cannot be fair with them, he prefers this child over the other, he will cuddle this one and the other one will sit down and look and whatever, so obviously he's showing injustice in his family already. This type of man wouldn't it's not suitable. It wouldn't be suitable. And like I mentioned earlier on, is it suitable for every man? No, not for every man. Not every man can afford to have another wife, because one thing that the brothers are doing in the UK especially, taking 2, 3 or 4 wives and let the government look after them. Let the government pay the rent, let the government give them income support or whatever. Come on, brothers. As a Muslim, first of all, for one wife, you have to be a provider and a protector. Okay? You have to be a provider. If you cannot provide for your wife, well, what's the point then? What's the point? If you can't provide for her, what's the point you getting married to her? Yeah. So don't now go and say oh, this is open permission from Allah. You say it even to your wife as well. Open permission from Allah. Every man can take another one. No. It is only for those suitable men, those men that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has made them the elite, people who are in power, people who have power. And you will see that people who have power are the men who are more geared to taking another wife. Then Sheikh Sadi goes on and says, but if he fears that he will not be able to be fair, just in any way, then he must limit it to one, or to a slave woman. Like I mentioned earlier on, there's a battle has happened in the past. It doesn't happen like this before. Because we know that Islam was just not just only for their days, but for our days as well. A battle has happened. A woman is left stranded. Loads of women are left stranded. They are being taken. They are being taken as slaves. Not slaves that they're going to be battered all day and beaten and forced to do work. No, because they need protection. These women need protection. So because of the fact that they need protection, so these slave women, these slave women, you are allowed to marry them. Now, if he frees them, if he leaves her as a slave and he marries her, the Sheikh says, because he is not obliged to give equal shares to a slave woman. The Prophet freed his wife before he married her. I forgot which wife now. Allah forgive me. Sometimes my brain just goes. I'll get it afterwards. Namely, limiting it to one wife or to the slave, it is more likely to keep him from committing an injustice that is being unfair to any of them. So the actual excuse is unfairness. Not because if something happens to the wife and she cannot give a child or whatever, or she gets old, this type of a man, if he can afford to do it, if he's the type of man that is just with his family, he's just with his workers, he's a person that can handle emotions, he can handle his wife's emotions, he can handle any other thing, then that is the type of man that could actually commit himself to another wife. This indicates that for a person to put himself in a situation which he fears that he might be unjust or unfair, or not carry out his duties, even if it is permissible, then it is not appropriate. Like I've just been saying now, it is not for everybody. It is not that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given authority, go, take, enjoy, have women here, there, left, right, and center. No. If you cannot do it, don't do it. Yeah. If you can do it, if you're a man of integrity, a man who is just and fair, you don't love one more than, then fine. Yes, go ahead. And it says clearly here, yeah, it is not appropriate for those in that cases. Rather, he must err on the side of caution and protect his religious commitments, because keeping his religious commitment is intact is the best. Okay, remember, the man will have to stand in front of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala on the day of Yawm al-Qiyamah. Yeah, he will have to stand in front of Allah, and he will have to answer for that injustice that he done to that lady, that tear that she cried. Yeah, that one tear he will have to answer in front of Allah if he does injustice to her. So if you know that you cannot be fair, you know that you cannot do justice, then don't do it. Okay, so don't think now, sisters, that I'm partial, that I'm taking the side of the man or whatever. No, if he cannot do it, he shouldn't be doing it. Okay, now again, like I said to you, we read about that, why does a man want another wife? I think I gave the answer. And I think I gave the answers that Allah has created us differently. Allah has created our mindset differently. A man, even if he has another wife, a woman was created to love one man only. She was created to love one man only and devote herself to him and raise his children. That's how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created women. Now, women shouldn't be looking at a man and expect him to be created the same way as she is created, because she is created differently and he's created differently. This man now, when he has money in his pocket and he's got status, he wants more women. He has desire for more women. Would the woman now prefer that this man goes and commits zina? A lot of women, this is happening because of the community. What are the people in the community going to say? He's got another wife legally. Legally, they're not going to accept it. But I'll tolerate him, going off and then having another wife. I'm not going to say anything about it. No, sorry, having a woman on the side. No, that's not it. It has to be legal according to the Quran and Sunnah. You accept it. Again, you have the right not to accept. The woman has the right not to accept it. It's not forced on her, yeah, because she's weak. But when you will stand in front of that judge when you're asking for khula, the judge will ask you these questions: is he fair to you? Does he beat you? Does he feed you? Does he put a roof over your head? What is your justification now? Is it only your emotion? Yeah. If it's only your emotion, then 9 out of 10 times the judge will say no. We can't break up a family just because the wife is not happy her husband took another sister. Because again, men are wired differently. Men are wired differently and women are wired differently. And we can see what is happening in the West, the way they are doing, the way they're disrupting families and everything. We can see it clearly in front of our eyes. Sorry. Oh, and by the way, this was one of the mugs I was offering. When I was offering a free mug, and nobody was interested. I'm still going to have a competition. I've got a contest coming up soon as well, where one side you can have Islamic design, and on the other side you can have your name, your initials, or whatever. Yeah, I'll be doing that again. Unfortunately, nobody was interested. I was offering you mugs. I was offering even mouse mats and everything, but people were not interested. I don't know why. Anyway, so let's carry on with this now. Yeah. So, does a man need his wife's permission? No. Allah has given that permission. Allah has given that permission. Does your wife's permission override Allah's decision? I read the 2 verses earlier on. The verse about about taking another wife, and the verse Surah Al-Ahzab, verse 33 to 36, it is not for a believer, man or woman, when Allah and His Messenger have decreed a matter, that they should have an opinion to their decision. Khalas. You cannot have an opinion. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given that. But like I said, there are conditions that Allah has put in there. Yeah, Allah has put His conditions, not your conditions. Your conditions doesn't match here. So the thing is that does he need to ask the wife? No. Out of his goodness, if he knows that she's not going to start asking for divorce, she's not going to fight, she's not going to make an issue about it, then yes, before he does it, he goes and tells her. Not ask her permission. Oh, can I get another wife? You know, no, don't have to. Yeah, don't have to. All the scholars agree to that. You don't have to. You be good to her. You tell her. Okay. If you know that she's going to cause problems, you know. I've had friends of mine who their wives banging their heads against the wall. I'm going to kill myself or whatever. Why? Because he's doing something halal. He's not coming home drunk. He's not beating you. He's not gambling. He's doing something halal that Allah has given him the permission, and you're banging your head against the wall and then wanting to die. Yeah. So the thing is that he doesn't need the permission, but out of the goodness of his heart, if he knows that you will not cause any problems, then he goes ahead and tells you. Yeah, I'm thinking of taking another sister or whatever, then fine. If he knows that you will cause a problem, then most ulama, even in my case as well, I was told, why did you have to tell her? You know, why did you have to tell her? You should have done the act and then go in and tell her. You know, you cannot leave that wife now. You've already married her. You cannot leave it because you're not happy. And, you know, these are the advantages that Allah has given to the wife and to the husband. I will have to stand in front of Allah on the day of Yawm al-Qiyamah. Any injustice that I do to you, to her, I will have to stand in front of Allah and answer for that. So He's already given me that permission. You go and tell her, whether it's before or after the act. She needs to know, though. She needs to know, because it's not allowed for you to take a woman in secret. There's a lot of I think in my last podcast that I did about this, I mentioned about, like, you know, the secret marriages that go on and everything, and how it is wrong. You know, how it is totally wrong to do that, because you're not giving the woman her haq. Yeah, secretly, you haven't told your wife. Secretly, you got married to her when you should be spending the night with the woman. You're only there during the day. Yeah, she doesn't have you for the nights, because your wife doesn't know. You're grounded. You know, you're grounded. You have to be home at a certain time. Your wife will pick up the phone and say, "Well, where are you?" Oh, you have to lie. You know, you will have to lie to her. So you cannot keep it a secret. You do it, but you tell her. You tell her about it. That is what the ulama have explained. You don't need her permission. You don't need to go and bow down to her and, like, you know, beg her, like, you know, oh, I want to take it. No, that is not the way it is. And you can ask any scholar, and he will tell you that Allah's law. When Allah Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, brother Muhammad from Cove FF. Nice to have you with us. You're a man in this situation. I think you're listening, and I hope that, like, you know, you can vouch for a lot of the things that we are talking about here. And Brother Muhammad has got a show supposed to start in a few minutes, I think, actually. And I would like to join them. I hope I don't have to go much more, like, you know, so I can join them on the show, where there will be Brother Kenny Boma and a brother called Brother Suleiman, who will be joining our network. Yeah. So again, I ask you, please like and subscribe our channels, because you can see how much effort we are doing, how much effort we are putting in there. Brother Muhammad, almost every 2-3 days, I'm at work sitting in my office, and he's I cannot join him, and he's doing, you know, streams and everything. So the effort that we're making in there, please like and subscribe. Like and subscribe and share it to all your friends. Okay. Anyway, let's carry on. I don't think I'll be too long anyway. Let's finish this. Yeah. So permission is not required. Allah has allowed it in His book. If you're thinking that permission is you are the one who gives permission, then are you going against the word of Allah? Are you going against what Allah has permitted? And especially with the verse that I read to you, that, like, you know, if Allah and His Prophet has decreed something, you have no say in it. You have no say in it. You accept it, alhamdulillah, you'll get benefit from it. If you don't accept it, you have the right to ask politely, to ask. Don't start wrecking the family and start causing problems or whatever. I'm going to, ruin you and this. No, that's not the way it goes. That's not why Allah made it permissible. That's not why Allah made it allowed. And again, like I said to you, only men of certain stature, only men of certain dignity, certain position in the community. This verse applies to them, not just to any Tom, Dick, and Harry in the street who who doesn't know how to look after one wife. Okay, that has to be made clear. Okay, earlier on we mentioned about the issue, why can't a woman have several husbands? Because we were talking about polygamy and polygyny. Now, I mentioned earlier on that the concept of marriage in Islam is to provide and protect. Okay, a woman needs to be protected. A woman needs to be provided for. She has one husband who will do all that for her. Okay, he will protect her. Somebody breaks into the door, he will protect her. Somebody is walking and he wants to insult your wife. You will take a bullet for her. You will take a bullet for her as a wife, because that is your responsibility. That is your role and your responsibility. Now, what if a wife now decides that, okay, I want to take 4 husbands. I want to take 4 husbands. Man has the right to do it. I'll give myself right to do it. Okay. Are you going to house 4 men? Are you going to protect 4 men? Are you going to leave this man? You don't go to work. Stay at home, cook for me, clean for me. I will come in 2 days. I will come and see you. I have another husband there. I will come after 2 days and see you. And yeah, so you don't have to do anything. I will do everything. Yeah. And if by the way, if one of your friends has a problem with you and he tries to break down the door, I will come and protect you. Yeah, you just call me and I will come and protect you. I'll take a bullet for you. Yeah, is that what the wife's role and responsibility is? No, that is not the wife's role and responsibility. The wife's role and its responsibility to her husband is that she's loyal to him. She gives him love, and when he calls her. There's hadith, Prophet ﷺ clearly says that if your husband calls you to his bed, do not drop everything that you are doing, because otherwise the malaika is going to be angry with you. And if the malaika is angry with you, that anger comes from Allah. Yeah, because just imagine now, if that man, you're married to one man only, okay? You're married to one man only, and he calls you to his bed, and you've already made nikah to the kitchen. Your kitchen is cleaning every day, polishing and cooking for 10 people. When the time comes to sleep with your husband, you got no time for it. Yeah, you got no time for it. So what's the point now? The man is going to think, well, I want another woman for my desires. I've already spoken about this earlier on. For his desire, he wants another woman. So what do you expect him to do? Go out and commit zina? No. Yeah, you have your role in that marriage, and so does he, to protect you and everything. Now that's one issue, the issue of protection and to provide for her. The other issue is, if you have more than one husband, hypothetically, right? You have more than one husband. Now that has one husband is in one house. Okay, is it a woman's what's the word I'm looking for now? Is it dignified for a woman to go hopping from one house to another, like what a man does? A man, if he's married to more than one wife, he will have to house each. So he hops from one house to the other. This week he's here, the other week he's with the other one. She may be half a kilometer away. She may be the other one may be 10 minutes away. The other one. Is that what a woman would do? Hop into, doesn't have a steady life. She's starting to do her chores in one man's house. Oh, it's time for me to go and perform my duty as a wife to another man. So I leave this here now. I'm going to go to another man. I'm going to go to my second husband and perform my duties to him. Is that right? No. Okay, so that doesn't fit. That doesn't fit the bill. Thirdly, If a woman, okay, is married to more than one man and she falls pregnant, now sometimes the calculations are not on all the time. You might have been with a man today, okay, and he had intercourse with you. The next day you go to the other husband and he has an intercourse with you. How do you know who the child belongs to? Unless you have a DNA test or whatever, then that becomes complicated now. Yeah? And a woman who has had more than one man is lowered. Her status is lowered. Everyone knows about that. And I don't need to go through it, but everyone knows about that. The woman, once she's had more than one man, her status is lowered. She's no more that pearl, that diamond that men are looking for. So now she's had this husband. After 2 days, 3 days, she goes to this husband, has some intercourse with him as well. After 3 days, has intercourse with another husband. Now the kid is born. Whose is it? Are you going to take the kid of somebody else and tell the man it belongs to you? Yeah, make the man look after it, make the man pay for it or whatever. One, okay, that's one thing. Secondly, now when you're hopping from house to house, you have to take your child with you. Okay, that's not his father now. You can't leave him with this man. It's not his father or her father. Yeah. So does it make sense? Does it make sense? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is all wise and he knows what he does. Okay. For him to have allowed it for the man, obviously there's nobody wiser than Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The decision that he's taken, that is so Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has taken the decision that this applies to men only, and women cannot have what's her name? Cannot have other husbands. Because of these 2-3 reasons that I've given you, it's even more than that. Okay, so that I think is covered. Now, can you afford it financially? I mentioned earlier on, we went through it, that it's not for every man. Can a man love more than one woman? Yes, that's the way Allah created us. Women has control over her body. She has control over intercourse. A man has control over relationships. He can create more than one family. He can make more than one relationship. This is why we find when a woman weaponizes sex, then the man goes behind her back and finds it somewhere else. Yeah. So because the woman has used that against him. So yes, he can love another woman. That woman could provide for him the love that that wife is not giving him. There is a book called Rather Wives and Mistresses. Okay. And very interesting book. And in that, it talks about all these presidents and whatever. I think I mentioned that in my other, what's the name as well? Yeah. All these presidents and heads of states and everything, they all, because they were men of power, they all had mistresses. And when François Mitterrand of France, when he died, there was his wife standing there in black, and there was another woman standing there in black. Everyone was thinking, well, hang on a minute. These two women, where's my camera? Yeah, these two women. Yeah. So how come he's got one wife in black and there's another woman? They questioned her. Yeah. Who are you? And he said, well, I'm his mistress. When he was at home and his wife couldn't give him love, I provided that love for him. And he was happy with me. Yeah. So a man can love another woman, and women are made to love one man alone. Okay, let's just go through the tafsir before we finish with the with it. Sheikh Sadi says, because many men mistreat women and deny them of their rights, especially the mahr or dowry, which is usually a large amount that is paid in one go. Therefore, the husband may find it difficult to give it to the wife. Here, Allah commands and urges men to give wives their dowry graciously. That is, with goodwill and with peace of mind. Now, you've taken another wife, you're going to have to take another wife. You have to give her dowry. Yeah, you cannot do like the nations before were doing. They were marrying women and mistreating them. No, you have to give her a dowry. You have to give her jewelry. You have to give her whatever you give this one. You have to give the other one. So this is what I'm saying to you. It is not for every man. Not every man wakes up in the morning. It doesn't. Excuse the expression, but his backside doesn't belong to him, and he's going to go and what's the name? Take another woman. No. You have to be able to afford to give her dowry, and at the same time to look after her. Okay, this indicates that the mahr is to be given to a woman if she has reached the age of accountability. That becomes her property as soon as the marriage contract is done, because it is described as belonging to the woman. Is described as belonging to. Yeah, that's another thing as well. That's another thing. If a woman wants to have another husband, well, does the husband give her the mahr then? So that means she got one husband, collected mahr from him. She got another husband, collects mahr from him. Got another husband, collects mahr from him. What's that game? That's not the way Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala send down the revelation to the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Another thing as well, in America nowadays, well, not nowadays, but it's been going on for a while now. Every time a man divorces a woman, she gets half of his property. Now, can you imagine? Some women do it on purpose. They file a divorce on purpose so that they can get the property of this man. They can get his property. The man's worked hard all his life. He's worked hard. He's really put everything, bought a house, bought a car, 2 cars or whatever. Now suddenly the wife is not happy, or she's in the West usually. She's found another man. She wants to leave him. She files for divorce. So if you have a woman who's married 4 men now, she marries her husband. She wants to take another man. And suddenly, I'm not happy with him after 3-4 years married to him. Half of your property. Okay. Second man, not happy with him, for half of your property. These are Western laws. I'm not saying that it happens everywhere, but these are Western laws, American laws. So we can see that this doesn't work. Only the Islamic solution works. Only polygyny works, and polygamy, the woman having another husband, doesn't work, because things like dowry and everything, all that has to be taken into consideration. But if their own accord choose to give up to you a part of it, that is a dowry. Okay, what is meant here is that if they give it up willingly, then you shouldn't force them. You shouldn't take it back from them, right? You've married one woman, you've married a second woman, married a third woman, you've given them the dowry, you shouldn't be taking it from them. But if she says to you, look, I want nothing to do with you, here's your dowry back, and get out of my life or whatever, I'm not happy with you, even if it's the first wife, second wife, whatever, don't take that dowry back. This is what it's saying. You may enjoy it with clear conscience. That is, there is no blame on you, and there is no consequences. This indicates that the woman has the right to dispose of her wealth, even by giving it freely, if she is mature. If she's not mature, then giving it is not valid. So we learn that her guardian is not entitled to any part of the dowry unless she gives it willingly. Now, there's another thing here now, the word guardian. Okay, you've married a woman, you've become her guardian now. Like I said to you, you become her father. Apart from a lover, you've taken her from her father. You assume the roles of her father. You are her guardian. See? So we'll carry on for a little bit more. Okay, now this is something very important. The Sheikh carries on to say, the words, you can marry other women who seem good to you, indicates that marriage to bad women is not enjoined. Allah in the Quran mentions that. Good man for good women, good women for good man. Okay, good man for good women, and bad women for bad men. I forgot the verse. I'm paraphrasing, but this is what Allah has mentioned. So when Allah says in the Quran, in this verse that we just mentioned, a woman that choose the one that is good to you, this is what he's talking about. Okay, that the woman has to be a good woman. Okay, and in fact, it is forbidden, such as polytheist women or immoral women, as Allah says elsewhere, do not marry the polytheist woman until they believe. So that means you can marry the women, the people of the book. You can marry Jews and Christians, but you cannot marry a woman who's bowing down to statues all the time, Buddhists and everything, and Hindus. They would have to come to Islam. They'd have to accept Islam first. But a woman who is not a polytheist, she can still be a Christian, and then you invite her to Islam little by little, you can still marry her. Yeah, the ulama are clear about that. You can still marry her. Yeah? And then you bring her into Islam. If she refuses to come to Islam, then you decide you want to keep her, you don't want to keep her. And the woman who fornicates may only marry a man who fornicates or who is a polytheist. So Allah makes it clear for us. Like I said to you in the beginning, Islam, the marriage in Islam is it's a structure. Yeah, it's a structure, and there are laws by it. What applies to that one woman then applies to another woman as well. So you've got a woman who's chaste at home, a woman who's from the what's her name, respectable family. Now you want to take a second wife. Now don't go out and get a woman who, like, is a bad woman, or like, you've seen her somewhere, you like her. She's got, I'm not against nothing against tattoos or whatever, but I have personal preference. I don't like it. Yeah, but a woman who's got tattoos all over her breast, you thought that she looks nice, or I'm going to marry her. No, that's what I was telling you here. Like, woman who fornicates, a woman who fornicates marry only men who fornicates or who's a polytheist. And then it goes on to say, do not entrust your property in feeble hands, which Allah has made a means for you, but feed and clothe them from it, and speak to them with kind words. Now, again, I'd just like to stipulate something. I mentioned about tattoos here. Sisters, nothing against them. If you have tattoos or whatever, it's my personal preference. Yeah, I would not approach a woman who has tattoos, especially if she has tattoos over areas that's been hidden, because, like, it seems that at the time when she was not a woman, she was not a Muslim, she didn't fit in that category of the woman who is chaste. Yeah, another man would draw something on her breast, or hidden behind her back or on her backside or whatever. So this is one thing, my personal opinion. Don't kind of like clip this and then and put it and then say, look, this man is anti this. No. I'm just explaining to you. This is my personal opinion, and that woman now doesn't fit in the category where the Quran is saying marry who seem good to you. Yeah, you marry another one who seem good to you. Okay. Now, the word translated here as feeble-minded refers to one who does not dispose of wealth in the proper manner. Either he's lacking in mental capacity, or one who is insane, or he has some. Okay, this is talking about something different here. Okay, the fact that Allah attributes wealth to guardians. I've missed a few, but I'm going to the important parts here. Yeah, this is Sheikh Sadi's tafsir. I think we'll read this a little bit more, and then we'll finish on this. The brothers are expecting me to join them in the other. This is Ajlid, isn't it? Yes. Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. And I hope you are well. And our brothers and sisters in Holland as well, I hope they are well. Yes. And okay. The fact that Allah, this is Sheikh Sadi saying, yeah, in the tafsir of the polygamy verse, the fact that Allah attributes the wealth to guardians indicates that you must handle the property of these feeble-minded or immature ones as they handle their own property. So again, by protecting it, okay, disposing of it properly, and not exposing it to danger. So this man now who's taken the decision to take another wife or whatever, or even for one wife, you have to be this mature man. You have to be this man of integrity, to be the guardian, because responsibilities have been given to you from Allah. Okay, to look after the properties and whatever. These verses indicate that expenses for maintenance of the insane, minor, and feeble-minded should come from their own wealth, and if any wealth, because if they have any wealth, because Allah says, but feed and clothe them from it. Yeah? This indicates that the word of the guardian is acceptable in whatever claims. This is not. This part is not talking about polygamy. Anyway, so we'll polygyny. So we'll kind of skip that. Let's just quickly go back to the book. Quickly go back to the book before we end. Okay, so I've explained the permissibility and everything of it, and the sisters mentioned this in the book. Then the sister goes on to say, monogamy is also sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ, as he was married to Khadija for 25 years. I mentioned that already, the reasons why he married and he didn't remarry again. And did not remarry on until after her death. However, the Prophet ﷺ's practice of polygyny does not make it clear in Islam that polygyny is permissible. No, sorry, does make it clear. Sorry. However, the Prophet ﷺ's practice of polygyny makes it clear that polygyny is permissible. Yeah, the Prophet ﷺ practiced it. So how could it be a taboo in your eyes? Yeah, in your eyes, it's a taboo. I don't want to hear about it. Don't talk to me about it or whatever. Prophet ﷺ practiced it. Prophet practiced it and encouraged it and had laws about it. What are you now to come in and say, no, I don't want it to, you have to ask me permission and all that stuff, So, we have to be very careful. Although polygyny is not considered as an obligation upon a man, it is a sunnah act, and it is practiced according to the sunnah that can be a source of more rewards. Now, remember, if a woman is you're married already, there is a woman who's a widow, and you fell for the lady, you found her nice, you found her beautiful, you cannot resist her or whatever, you will get rewards for it. But it's not farda ain on you. It's not farda ain for every single man. Although in this day and age, I would say, looking at the situation around us, that if a man can afford it, then he should go ahead and take another wife. Yeah, if he can afford it, he can be the man that I mentioned earlier on. Today we have men driving cars, flash cars, big cars that cost a lot of money, paying monthly or whatever. We've got iPhones, tablets, and this and that and the other, living the life. Yeah, but the thing is, why don't you cut down on that, live a simple life, and take another sister who is pious, who probably is a widow and needs a man in his life. Don't be fooled that the woman doesn't need a man. She needs a man in her life. Allah created us that way. Every one of us, we have desires, and Allah created us that way. So it is not considered an obligation, but it's considered a sunnah act. And to revive that sunnah, I believe that in this day and age, if there's anybody who's on TikTok, I don't know if you've come across this, but I have my inbox full of women looking for people to get married. Okay, from the West, wanting, begging, begging. I want an older man. I want to because they fell in that trap. They fell in that feminist trap that they shouldn't marry or whatever. Then they end up not marrying, and now it reaches a stage where they see that, no, I made a mistake, and then I need I need to get married. You see, so therefore they are begging. I can tell you, they are begging. Even not in my what's the name? Not in my inbox. Apart from my inbox, you see a lot of these women there who now have reached a certain age and they need a man. So if they are good women, why are you going to leave them behind? Oh, because your wife is not happy with it? Or if you can afford it, if you are the man that I've mentioned, then go ahead, But do it the proper way. Do it the proper way, okay? Now, before we finish on this, we mentioned that, that the wives of the Prophet ﷺ, they were chaste women, whether they were from different tribes, they were Jewish, they were whatever, they were chaste women. One. Secondly, that Prophet ﷺ married them for a reason. I mentioned that, and like I said, a lot of sisters like to use this issue of the Prophet ﷺ. Why did Prophet ﷺ marry only Khadija radiallahu anha? I've given that answer as well. There was no need for it at the time, but in this day and age, there is a need for it. There is a need for it, and I can tell you what is going on around the world at the moment. There's a need for it, and if you can, go ahead and do it. Okay, so we're talking here of now of the different circumstances. Anyway, so I will finish on this, and next week we will start the new session. I'd like to remind you that tomorrow I have I'm starting a new book. I'm starting the book about the tafsir of Juz Amma. Yeah, Tafsir of Juz Amma tomorrow at the same time on O People of the Book. And please, please, I'm telling you again, if you look down at the banner here, you look down at the banner, you'll see, please help me for my surgery. You can see, I can show you my teeth. All my teeth are falling out. My gums are swollen, and I'm in pain. I'm in pain, but like, I have to do what I have to do. And I cannot take on my other issues. You know that before I had an issue with my eye. Yeah? The doctor is refusing to give me medication because I have to go abroad. I have to go abroad, and abroad I can have some serious complications or whatever when I'm going to do my teeth. So the longer I take to go abroad, my issue with my eye can come again. The doctor told me that yesterday. So please, if you can help, if you can pass the link on to other brothers and sisters, and Ramadan is coming as well, and you will get big rewards from Allah, helping a brother, helping a da'i who is out there, providing his knowledge to you. Yeah, if you can, please, Allah will give you serious rewards for that. So I think we will finish on here now, and tomorrow I'll see you again, inshallah, and we'll carry on with the book. We'll carry on with the book, and this book. For those of you who haven't read it, and you find that you can get hold of it or whatever, then fine. If not, I'll be going through it, and it's called from polygyny to from monogamy to polygyny, a way through. So polygyny is a way through, not a way out. Okay, a lot of people think it's a way out, that it's going to cause problems and destroy families or whatever. No, it's a way through. Okay, so let's finish here, and whoever's attended, jazakallah khair, and whoever will be watching them afterwards, may Allah benefit for you from this. Anything that I have said that is wrong, may Allah forgive me. I'm a human being, a student of knowledge, and I might misrepresented something. May Allah forgive me for that. Anything good that you benefited from is from Allah. So I'll finish on this. Subhana rabbika rabbil izzati amma yasifun wa salamun ala al-mursaleen walhamdulillahi rabbil alamin. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.